Another top 10 change management lessons from the field. The first one is champions are your muscle. The second one is communications should be two-way and come from leaders and managers, not comms folks. The third one is storytelling and metaphor is key to change management. The fourth one is no other choice doesn't work. The fifth one is the technical and people sides of a project do different things but are deeply linked. The sixth one is change management should be a standard thing leaders do but generally isn't. The seventh one, folks' actions don't naturally align with the common good or group interest. The eighth one is if you promise ROI you better deliver it. 9 is think like Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, and 10 is change management is a discipline just like project management in all its forms. Let's look at each of those. Now we know that champions make a decisive contribution to the innovation by actively and enthusiastically promoting its progress through the traditional organisational stages or even the non-traditional organisational stages. And I can't emphasise how important champions are. They're your local muscle at the front line, and we see that all the time in practice. And of course Everett Rogers from Diffusion of Innovation says that the key to adoption is getting over the gap from 16% to above 20%. That's the heart of the adoption process, and a lot of that is dependent upon the activation of peer network spreading subjective evaluations about the innovation, and that effort is led by champions within the context of a mandate and support from leaders and managers. The second one is communications should be two-way and come from leaders and managers, not the comms. And we see from the ProSci research that there's two key things. Use different methods of communication. The most effective is face-to-face, but there's many others. And critically, comms people shouldn't send comms messages, which seems counterintuitive. The most effective people to send personal message about a change are an employee's immediate supervisor, and the most effective person to send business messages, why we're doing it, what happens if we do not do it, are the leaders of the organisation. Communication should be two-way, and when we're doing comms and change management, make sure that that comms identifies the audience first, particularly using ADCAR before it tailors the message to those audiences. And that's generally the opposite of the way that communications is done in project management. Number 3, storytelling and metaphors. Number 3, storytelling and using metaphors is key. And we know that as humans it's virtually impossible to communicate without using metaphor. And I've previously given lots of examples of metaphors and I use them all the time, but my approach is to follow Winston Churchill's approach, which is to begin with a sober assessment with the reality of the change and follow that with a realistic cause for optimism using a metaphor. The fourth one, no other choice doesn't work. And I've spoken before, but from psychology we know that if you face a change voluntarily, you activate your body for action. If you don't face it voluntarily, you go into prey mode and are frozen. No Other Choice also has several other drawbacks. They're impractical, they're misleading, they focus on the problem, not the solution. It's, quotes, violent and it's individual focused. Number 5, the technical and people sides of a project do different things but are deeply linked. ProSci says in a change project, the project side of the programme prepares the solution for the organisation. Change management prepares the organisation for the solution. That's an elegant way to put it. But both have different goals. Think deploy for a project and adopt for change management, and together they drive project success. One without the other doesn't work. Number 6, change management should be a standard thing that leaders do, but it isn't. We know that 50% of leaders of organisations have some to no understanding of their role leading change. We need to coach them and help them do that. They've got certain roles, they've got things to do, and they've got actions to take. We need to help them realise they have actions and help them take those actions. The 7th one is folks' actions don't naturally align with the common good or group interest, and that's called the tragedy of the commons. Change management needs to help make sure that folks' adoption actions do align with the common good, and you can only do that if you apply excellent change management, in particular by helping people move through their ADCAR steps. Number 8, if you promise ROI, you better deliver it. I've mentioned it before, but to sponsor something, you're actually promising faithfully, from the derivation of the word sponsor. And that means you can only fulfill your promise for your people-dependent change programme by doing excellent change management. Think what happens if you you don't fulfil your promise, and that expenditure of organisational money does not lead to a return of investment. The ninth one is, think like Bruce Springsteen. Leaders, managers and champions need to be on stage doing change management. Project managers, change management people, we're the crew, we're behind the stage, we're the ones that make Bruce and the E Street Band and the backing singers look good on the stage. We need both, but we need leaders, champions and managers to actually go on the stage and undertake their change management action. And the 10th one is, change management is a discipline just like project management in all its forms. I did my first project management certification in 1988, I think it was. I think it was Prince 1. I think the person that taught it was the person who invented it, who worked for the UK government's CCTA, or Central Communications and Telecommunications Agency. So in the same way that you'd likely never do a large project without some form of project management, you should never do a large people-dependent change project without change management as well. Both are disciplines, both have formal methodologies, tools, techniques and approaches and languages that you've got to learn and apply. So learn and apply them. So that's my next top 10 lessons from the field. I guess now I've got a top 20 and I'm sure I'll think about some more. Yeah, it must be the summer, no wetsuit. So let's enjoy the water. It's a great day here.